Good morning, afternoon, everyone, depending on what time you are checking in on this. I am submitting now my video for my power analysis of my organization. I have actually two organizations that are part of my internship. I have Christ United Methodist Church, and I have Church for Everyone. Church for Everyone is so in its beginning stages. We're still developing a leadership team. We're still developing how things will go. And primarily my work through internship has been through Christ United Methodist Church. So I'm going to focus this power analysis on the mother church, which is Christ United Methodist Church, which is attempting to be a conduit in the birthing of this other new thing, which is still coming to fruition. So I have created a PowerPoint and attached it to this presentation. The PowerPoint talks about some just general things about our church and our area. Christ United Methodist Church, we have about 350 and dropping in worship each Sunday. We are on a little bit of an attendance decline. We had some issues last summer with a dramatic leaving of the previous associate pastor prior to me that caused a drop in attendance. But we are about 300 to 350 each Sunday, and that's split between three services. Our morning service is older, 100% white, middle class congregation that does hymns with a choir, a traditional service. Our other two services are very contemporary. We have a praise band. They're younger. We have a little more diversity, although they are still probably 85% white in those two services. We do have some Hispanic. We do have some African American. We just hired on staff last summer our youth director, who is the first ever African American staff person that we've ever had on staff. So that's all positive stuff. Those two services do seem to be our more thriving services. Lafayette, where we are located, it's in Lafayette, we're in Indiana. It's kind of a Twin Cities, Lafayette, West Lafayette, and so it's home of Purdue University. We have several manufacturing places here that employ people, Wabash, Caterpillar, Eli Lilly, which has been renamed to Evonik. Subaru is here, and so we have a lot of manufacturing, and I would say, besides retail and the normal things that any city has, I would say manufacturing is our primary source of employment for most people. And then our church is located on the south side of Lafayette in a suburb. Although there are a couple of apartment complexes that are low income, as in actual Section 8 low income, that are within a mile and a half of our church, primarily they are newer subdivisions from expanding Lafayette out onto the south side. Some local businesses, there's a Walmart. So that is the area. Now, the Church for Everyone that we are trying to plant as a part of this is downtown. It is not near our primary campus. It is all the way downtown, and our primary demographic is very much different. It is complete low income. It is even homeless, no income. And so that's very different. But it's amazing how good of a fit it is with Christ United Methodist, and how people here just want to help and want to be a part of it. And so it's a really, really good fit and part of who we are. Our organizational structure, I'll let you all look through that. I've included it in my PowerPoint. But basically there's three power structure groups. There's the formal power structure, there's the informal power structure, and then there's how we actually do things. I would say the formal power structure is dictated to us by our United Methodist Book of Discipline, which states that we have a church council, which is above and over everything, even our pastors. The church council consists of a council chair, and then it consists of the chairs of all the other committees and also the leaders of our different major ministries. The council meets every other month, and they determine major decisions of our church. Major decisions would include, should we change our services around on Sunday morning to different times, in different ways. Major decisions include, we want to start this brand new ministry that will be a new primary. Should we do it or should we not allocate resources to that? Other major decisions that are the church council is responsible for include approving our annual budget every year. They don't approve necessarily the clergy salaries and compensation packages, because that's determined by staff parish and in conjunction with our Indiana Conference of the United Methodist Church, which is up above our local churches. It is our United Methodist churches are put together in such a way that we have local churches. Above that is the conference, which is our entire Indiana area, headed by a district superintendent. Above that is a bishop, and then above that we have councils of bishops, and we have a general conference that makes decisions on what's going to be in our book of discipline. So that Indiana conference determines what the minimum salaries are for full-time pastors, whether they're on the local track or the elder track. They also help to determine what the salaries will be. If a pastor's leaving and a new pastor comes in and is appointed, that is decided in conjunction with the district superintendent. But besides that, the other budgets of the church, the salary for the rest of the staff, the salary for the trustees, the building budgets, and those kinds of things are all approved each year through church council. Beyond church council, we have several other committees. We have one called trustees, which is in charge of building and maintenance. We have the finance committee, which is in charge of making sure that we have enough money to pay our bills each month. We have some other more informal committees, an outreach committee, which is in charge of our outreach ministries for the marginalized and those kinds of things. And then, so that would be our formal structure and the way that things are supposed to go. And then also the structure that I have included in the PowerPoint is our organizational chart, which lists the senior pastor, who is above me, the associate pastor, who is me, and then all the other people and who we report to, who gives us direction on a day-to-day basis, and that kind of thing. So those would be the primary power structures in our church. Now, sometimes these power structures, even recently, come into conflict with each other. These two formal power structures come into conflict with each other. And then the informal, which I'll tell you about here in a second, kind of takes over. Recently, we have begun a discussion with our attendance decline. Should we, as a case study for you, should we consolidate our second two services and create a dedicated Sunday school hour? According to our organizational chart, the senior pastor, myself, and the worship leader got together and created plans to do this, created plans to implement it, created a timeline, informed staff, informed Sunday schools, at which point there was an upheaval where people didn't want this to happen. And in particular, their major complaint was that the power being used by the senior pastor in order to implement these changes without going through the formal power structure was unaligned. And so it was a big deal. When we made the announcements, I made the announcements. He was on vacation in Israel with his wife, and there was upheaval. Their major concern was not that we were consolidating services, was not that we were dedicating a Sunday school hour. They had some concerns with these things, but their major primary concern was, why didn't you ask us? Since then, this informal power structure, which includes leaders of the Sunday school groups, leaders of Jubilee Christmas, who is a major contributors to our church, who do major things and are very visible and very vocal. Just don't sit on committees. These people don't really sit on committees, but they have power in our church. These people created such an upheaval that now we are moving away. We have changed. We have changed, and we are moving away from our organizational chart in order to make this happen, and moving into the formal power structure in order to make this happen. And so we had a church council meeting where we invited the entire congregation, whoever would like to come. And we had 106 people show up to this church council meeting. And there it was decided that we would create a task force. This task force would determine what changes should happen. And they will meet over the next 2 months. And we'll submit a recommendation to the church council. The church council will then approve or not approve whether there will be any changes on Sunday mornings to our worship service times and formats. So it's interesting to be doing this power analysis right at the time that I have such a good example in my current context in order to show you a case study for how it works in our environment. Just want to check and make sure that I have hit all of our points here. Things get done in our organization through staff. Things get done in our organizational structure through the organizational chart that I submitted there. Our staff does things, we make decisions, we do things on a regular basis. The problem just aligns when decisions happen and people wish that they were involved. We are not a congregational structure. We do not have meetings with all of the congregation and ask everyone to put in a vote on whether we should do things or not. That is not the way that we are set up in our book of discipline for the United Methodist Church. It has never been that way. And so we rely on our leaders to lead. We rely on our leaders to actually do things and make decisions. And in general, in the past, from my experience and from my research and talking with my senior pastor and my DS and other people on how they believe it should work, they are in agreement. We appoint leaders to lead. They are to make decisions and do things for what they believe is in the best interest of the congregation. We have the reason I believe why this didn't just go through, which I think that in other circumstances maybe it would have, is that we just have additional complications going on in our church beyond that, where there are some people who are unhappy in general and looking for ways to use their voice. And so that is that. We do have our external influencers that are our DS, our bishop, our church development office. Our church development office, thank God for them and their influence in my work at the church, and providing stability, and through this Church for Everyone project, support financially, support being there for me and having my back with things. thank God for them. They are definitely another external influencer to our church. And we use all of the power that we have. We try our best as leaders to use all of the power that we have to influence the broader community. We try to use our power to, it's not about power. It's not about building our church to be big in numbers. It is about changing the world around us to look more like the kingdom that God intended originally. And we are authentically trying our best to do this. And we are making a difference. I know we are. People are, lives are being changed. People are being influenced. It is all good things. And it is God behind it 100%. It is just a matter of at what point do people get lost in the power struggles and not see the bigger picture of what the intention is behind all of this, which is 100% God and his kingdom. And so God bless you all for even having me work through this power analysis. It's been helpful for me to just identify some of the things and verbalize it and name it, some of the things that are going on. And I just appreciate all of you, and I hope you all the best in your own situations. God bless you.